In this lesson, we'll cover what is called control logic. In particular, we'll talk about if statements and while loops. Start by navigating to repl.it/languages/python3. You should then see a screen just like this one. What is an if statement? An if statement allows you to run code if some condition is true. Here's how you can use an if statement. Start by writing if. Then add your condition. In this case, the condition is checking that x is less than 5. Add a colon at the end of the line. Don't forget this colon. Then add 2 spaces at the start of the next line. These spaces are also extremely important. Don't forget these. Finally, add the code that will run, only if the condition is true. Here are all the parts annotated. For an if statement, we'd need the if, a colon at the end of the first line, and 2 spaces before every line that we want to conditionally run. We can change the condition in blue to anything we want. We can also change the expression in orange however we want. In sum, if x is less than 5, assign x to the value 10. The if statement has one more optional part. You can also add an else statement. The upcoming code runs if the condition is not true. Like before, add 2 spaces, then add the expression to conditionally run. And here is the full if-else statement. Say x was previously 3. After running this code, what would x be? Pause the video here and take a moment to think. After running this code, x would be 10. This is because the condition x is less than 5 is true. So the first part of this if-else statement runs. Let's write your very first if-else statements. This time, we'll be working with the interpreter on the right-hand side. Go ahead and define the variable x. X is equal to 3. Then, write your first if-else, just like we showed in the slides. Go ahead and type in if x is less than 5. Don't forget the colon at the end. Notice if we go ahead and hit enter, the orange caret is now gone, and instead there are 3 dots. This means the interpreter is waiting for more input before it evaluates our code. In particular, the interpreter is waiting for us to finish the function. Don't forget to type in 2 spaces at the start of the line, 1, 2, and then go ahead and type in x is equal to 10. Now go ahead and hit enter and add the else statement. Again, don't forget the colon. Hit enter once more, add in 2 spaces, and type in x is equal to 2. Hit enter, and then one more time. That completes our if-else statement. Now, as we discussed previously, the if condition is true since x is equal to 3 and 3 is less than 5. Since the condition is true, x is now assigned to 10. As a result, we now expect x to be 10. Let's check that. Go ahead and type in x and hit enter. We can see that now the value is 10. Now let's write one more if-else statement using strings instead of numbers. Define the variable name is equal to Bob. Now, let's go ahead and add an if statement using this string. If name, and recall from lesson 3, to check for equality, use 2 equal signs. Here, we check if the name is equal to John. Hit enter, add 2 spaces, type in print name verified. If the condition is true, print out the string name verified. Go ahead and hit enter, type in else with a colon, and otherwise, if the above condition is false, then enter 2 spaces and type in print unrecognized name. Hit enter twice, and we can see unrecognized name. This was because this time the condition was not true. The name is equal to Bob, not equal to John. As a result, the else statement runs and the program prints unrecognized name. Let's now see what a while loop is. What is a while loop? A while loop iterates over a piece of code multiple times. It continues to iterate indefinitely while the condition is true. In other words, while some condition is true, keep running code over and over again. Start by writing while. Then add your condition. In this case, the condition is checking that x is less than 5. Add a colon at the end of the line. Don't forget this colon. Then add 2 spaces at the start of the next line. Finally, add the code that will keep running while the condition is true. Here, each time the orange expression is run, x will be incremented by 1. Here are all the parts annotated. For a while loop, we need the while, a colon at the end of the first line, and 2 spaces before every line that we want to run repeatedly. We can change the condition in blue to anything we want, and we can also change the expression in orange however we want. In sum, while x is less than 5, increment x by 1. Say x was previously 0. After running this code, what would the value of x be? Pause the video here and ponder it for a moment. After running this code, x will be 5. In the first pass, x is equal to 0. 0 is less than 5, so we increment x by 1. X is now 1. 1 is still less than 5, so we increment x by 1 again. Now x is 2. We keep doing this until x is 5. Then 5 is not less than 5, and the while loop stops. The final value of x is then 5. Let's try this. Go ahead and type in first x is equal to 0. Now let's go ahead and add our while statement. We'll type in while x is less than 5, colon, enter 2 spaces, and we're going to add an extra print statement so that we can see how the value of x evolves. Go ahead and type in print of x so that we can see the value of x. Hit enter, 2 spaces, and then x is equal to x plus 1. Hit enter, and one more time. We can now see the value of x evolve. It goes from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then finally, go ahead and type in x and we'll see that it's now equal to 5, just like we said earlier. Let's build another nifty tool. This time, our tool will recommend whether or not to bring an umbrella, depending on the current weather in a city of your choice. Like at the end of the last lesson, you will now write code in a file instead of in the interpreter. To the left, in main.py, start by importing the URL opening function that we used in the last lesson. Go ahead and type in from urllib.request import URL open. Then define your new function. This new function will, given a city as an input argument, return the weather condition for that city by reading a web page. Go ahead and type in def get condition and city. Don't forget your colon at the end of that line as usual. For the next line, REPL.it will add those 2 spaces for you automatically. Go ahead and now define URL is equal to http wttr.in/ and then plus city. Notice that there is now a change at the very end of this line. The format is now equal to %C. Again, the details of this particular website are not important. Read the web page at this URL. So URL open and the URL. We'll also read the data on that web page, so page.read. And then we're going to reformat the data into a readable format. So go ahead and type in condition is equal to raw.decode UTF-8. Finally, return the condition. We're now done with the function. Go ahead and hit enter. And once you're on this new line, go ahead and hit backspace to delete any leading spaces. Like before, we'll use the input function to ask the user for input. Here, you'll ask the user for a city name once more. City is equal to input, and the prompt is city. Then we'll call our brand new function. Condition is equal to get condition. Up to this point, this code has been very, very similar to the previous lessons. However, we'll now take a look at condition and add it to an if-else statement. Go ahead and write if condition is equal to clear. Make sure there are 2 equal signs and make sure to add a colon at the end of this line. Go ahead and hit enter, and we can go ahead and print no umbrella needed if the conditions are clear. And otherwise, so add an else statement with a colon, then we print bring an umbrella. And that's it. Double check the colors match and that you have both colons and spaces. Click run at the very, very top. Then type in a city of your choice. Your nifty tool then returns whether or not to bring an umbrella. Nice work. As usual, if you run into errors, make sure to double check your code against mine. Quick check is whether or not the colors match. If the colors do not match, you may have forgotten an end quote or the colon. In this lesson, we covered both if-else statements and while loops. If you'd like to access and download these slides or view completed code for the example in this lesson, visit this URL. This concludes the Control Logic Part 1 session. In the next lesson, you'll learn about a different way to loop, called a for loop.